So, what would you do if you had a near-death experience and then found yourself trapped in the body of a cat while a spirit who didn't want to live on Earth wound up in your body? Hello, and welcome back to Jenna Gets Creative. It's time for the second round of March Fandom Mayhem, and I'm drawing fan art from Disney's Soul. I've got some on-topic stuff to ramble about to go with the piece, but first I want to tell you that this is a month-long collaboration with Weblight Dreams, and it's our second year doing it. I'll have last year's playlist and this year's playlist linked in the description box down below. Once a week for the month of March, we do fan art, and we want all of you to join in as well. Create fan art from an existing fandom, post it anywhere on social media using the hashtag MarchFandomMayhem, and we'll feature your art in our wrap-up videos at the end of the month. If you want to post yours as a YouTube video, make sure the phrase March Fandom Mayhem is in your video title, and that you've linked back to both our channels or to the current season playlist, and we'll be sure to add you to that playlist. So yes, you can join in on this collaboration if you want to. By the way, since this is our second year doing the challenge, and it's impossible for us to tell if older posts with our hashtag were edited to enter this year or entries we missed last year, please make sure everything you want us to see is freshly posted this month. We'll only be looking for the March Fandom Mayhem hashtag on artwork posted during March 2021. I would also like to remind everyone that I have 2 giveaways coming up. The first will happen when this channel becomes eligible for monetization, so you can help that happen by making sure you watch videos all the way through to boost watch time, and like and comment to keep it in the algorithm's favor. One subscriber will win their choice of a prize plaque, plus a small original artwork. The prize pack will be either the art supplies I've set aside for the giveaway, the duplicate fantasy genre books on my shelf, or a custom order placed on Book Depository. The second giveaway will happen when this channel reaches 2,000 subscribers, and that will be for an Amazon gift card or a Book Depository order. More details for both giveaways are in the description, and I'm probably going to make a proper announcement video for those giveaways soon so that info can be shared in a shorter video format. On with today's topic. So, Disney released Soul around Christmas time, and with a 3-year-old in the house, we've watched it at least 40 times now. It's a cute movie with a great message, it's beautifully done, it has great jokes for the adults in the audience along the way, and if you're actually paying attention, you'll probably notice something new each time you watch. Joe dreams of making it big as a jazz musician, but he's paying the bills as a middle school band teacher. At the beginning of the movie, he's told he's being given a full-time contract with the district, and he knows he should be happy about it, but it's also quite clear that he feels like accepting the full-time position would be giving up on the dream of living that stage musician life, and he feels like he's failed. Then one of his former students calls and says there's an opening for a pianist with a prestigious jazz musician named Dorothea Williams, and he should get down there right now to audition. He goes, he blows her away, he gets the gig. On the way home from that audition, he's distracted telling someone the good news on the phone, dodges all sorts of dangers without noticing them, but eventually falls through an open manhole. Cut to the Blue Blob Spirit Joe on a conveyor belt to the Great Beyond, and he freaks out because he's not done living. He jumps off the conveyor belt and lands in the Great Before, where spirits are getting ready to be born, and he's mistaken for a soul chosen to mentor a new soul. He's paired with the soul called 22, who doesn't want to live on Earth, but she's fascinated by his determination to get back to his life, so she takes him to a spirit who might be able to help. And something goes wrong. 22 ends up in Joe's body, and Joe ends up in the body of the hospital's therapy cat that was napping on his bed. Cue an adventure over the rest of the day where 22 learns to love life while pretending to be Joe. Joe gets to confront all his fears and perceived failings while mentoring 22 from the cat's body. Only 22 can hear him. And eventually Joe figures out what was actually important in his life, and all the ways he was actually a successful person in his teaching job, inspiring his love of music in the next generation. I won't spoil how it ends, and there's a lot of other stuff going on and twists and turns. That's just the main storyline that gets you to the climax for the primary plot. Now, Soul has received a lot of praise, and everyone I know who's watched it absolutely loves it, but there are some people online saying it fails to represent people of color in the same way that Princess and the Frog failed, because it transforms the character into something other than a black human for a large chunk of the film. I haven't heard that complaint from any of the people of color in my life, and I think Soul handled it in a completely different way. but I do agree it's high time for Disney to make a feature-length film with a black lead who stays human the whole time. Let's talk about what makes Soul potentially different from Princess and the Frog in that respect, and I'll leave the question of whether or not Soul fails in the same way Princess and the Frog does up for you to decide for yourself. As a refresher, in case it's been a while or you've never seen Princess and the Frog, that movie is 1920s New Orleans, and a hardworking young woman named Tiana is working herself to the bone trying to earn enough money to buy a building to open her own restaurant. Cooking is her life, and restaurant ownership was her father's dream too, so she wants to make it come true for both of them. Her best friend, Lottie, is the daughter of a railroad mogul, and they are hosting a big party in honor of the foreign prince coming to town, Naveen. Tiana is at the party as a caterer, but when she's done her job, she dresses up in costume with everyone else, and Naveen mistakes her for the railroad company princess he's supposed to meet there. Naveen has been cut off by his family and gets swindled into a deal with a voodoo practitioner who promises him all the riches in the world if he can get the princess to kiss him by midnight. But oops, Naveen's right-hand man wants riches and power and also made a deal with this shady man, and the two switch places. Naveen becomes a frog, cursed to stay that way forever if he doesn't get that princess kiss by midnight. And the other guy will be whisked off to the spirit world if he can't charm the princess while wearing Naveen's face before the illusion wears off. Frog Naveen tracks down who he thinks is the real princess, Tiana, and reveals himself to her asking for a kiss. She agrees, but since she's not the real princess and we're dealing with sleazy con artist voodoo, Tiana turns into a frog instead. Cue a goofy adventure in the bayou with swamp creatures and jazz numbers on riverboats, and Tiana and Naveen learning to just love each other as they are and be happy accepting their fate as frogs. Both of these are cute stories with great morals, and they do indeed start out with great black role models, and both transform that character into something that isn't human. But I think they handle the rest of the movie and the black identities very differently. In Princess and the Frog, once Tiana and Naveen are frogs, they're frogs. They could absolutely be anybody trapped in frog bodies, and the story is about love and accepting one's lot in life. The only things reminding us of who these characters were before transformation are Tiana's love of Cajun cooking and Naveen's indistinct, vaguely francophone foreign accent. And you know what? You don't have to be black to like Cajun food or sound vaguely francophone. This is what happens when Disney tries to incorporate a character of color and change the setting to the American South, but otherwise sticks quite closely to the bones of a Western European fairy tale. This is exactly why the majority of Disney blockbusters are princess films about white girls. Disney's bread and butter is retelling Nordic, Germanic, French, and UK fairy tales. They tried to slap a 1920s black Cajun skin on this one, but in the end it's still just the same old Princess and the Frog cautionary love story Europeans have been telling their kids at bedtime for centuries. Soul isn't. Soul is a brand new story set in the modern day. This is modern day New York City in the Jazz District. Joe's whole life, his entire identity, is trying to succeed as a jazz musician like his father tried to do before him. That doesn't change when he becomes the Blue Blob Spirit. He's still the black man from New York who wants to play jazz piano on stage in the jazz clubs with big names like Dorothea Williams, and gosh darn it, he's gonna do everything he can to get back to his body in time for that big opportunity to do exactly that, even if it means taking another soul's place on Earth. As he guides 22 in his body through the rest of the day, waiting until their helpful friend thinks he can switch them back, he introduces 22 to everything he loves in his life in New York City. They get pizza from a street vendor, they end up at his usual barber shop and have a very soul-bearing conversation with Joe's usual barber. They have a heart-to-heart with Joe's mother about how she never supports his dreams, and the two finally listen to one another. Joe finally hears his mom worry that his father never had stability in life chasing that dream, and she's worried about his future. His mother finally hears Joe saying he won't truly be happy in life until he's had that shot at seeing if it's everything he's dreamed of. 22 in Joe's body has a mentorship moment with one of Joe's students, and both come out of that experience realizing how important Joe is to his students and how good he's doing in his little corner of the world. I won't spoil how it ends, but my point is that everything along the way that isn't about 22 learning to love life, and most of what is, that is still all Joe's identity as a jazz-loving black man in New York who wants to keep being a jazz-loving black man in New York. We also still see his human body on screen for a large chunk of the film, even while he's existing as a cat, because 22 is in his body, and this allows the movie to still explore New York and all of its residents, including Joe's family and friends who are also representative of black American identities and regular lives. Is this movie perfect in its attempt to put a black main character in a feature-length film? No, but it does better than anything before it, and my point is that I don't think the transformation destroys what the movie is doing. I must interrupt myself here, however, to critique the fact that the cat he's inhabiting is Mr. Mittens, so presumably a male, but it's a calico? That doesn't happen. Princess and the Frog isn't about Tiana or Naveen's black identities. It's about learning to love each other and give up on bigger dreams in the name of happiness. And it happens to be set in 1920s New Orleans. It's also not at all a surprise that they get their human bodies back in the end, because it's a pretty little Western fairy tale wrapped up in a sugar-coated Disney bow. It would be the same movie with any pair of characters in any other setting. Soul is a black jazz musician in modern-day New York learning that he hasn't failed after all, and realizing that in his pursuit of the jazz club dream, he lost sight of the other things important in his life. On your first watch-through, you have no idea if Joe will ever get his body back, because this is the real world. He really did fall down a manhole and die, and one of the things he's learning along the way is that his life was much more fulfilling and impactful than he realized it was. So if he doesn't get the chance to continue living, maybe that's okay. Maybe it's 22's turn, and the important thing is what he shared about his life with her and all the people he's mentored before her, just trying to be himself and follow his own passion. It wouldn't be the same movie if it wasn't Joe's story. What do you think? The Emperor's New Groove and Coco get the same criticism, transformation of a lead character of color, and I think those two compare to Princess and the Frog and Soul respectively. If you set The Emperor's New Groove in any other country, rename the characters, and replace llama with another pack animal if it's not a llama-having country, it still works. Kuzco's story doesn't work just because he's an Incan emperor. This could have been a Scottish king turned into a donkey or a Spanish queen turned into a horse, and it would be the same story. Coco does turn Miguel into a temporary ghost who's slowly becoming a permanently dead skeleton, but the movie is entirely about Miguel's family, his heritage, and Mexican folk music. You can't make it a Norwegian girl in Oslo and tell the same story. But what can Disney do to represent people of color better? Tell different stories and hold off on the transformations until that isn't the bulk of their diverse stories. This was a good start, telling a brand new story, and that needs to happen for sure. Tell new stories rather than slapping diverse hallmarks on European old stories. They should also pull classic stories from other cultures with the guidance of people from those cultures so that it's handled properly. No more whitewashed Mulans and Aladdins. No more aged-up romance stories about Native American girls who were kidnapped, converted to Christianity, and died in England before 2021. Moana and Big Hero 6 got it right in terms of putting characters of color in lead roles and not transforming them. Let's do more of that. I have high hopes for Raya and the Last Dragon, which is in premiere on Disney Plus now, and Encanto, which is coming out later this year. If you want to join in on the topic of representation without transformation in Disney films, leave a comment down below. Tell me if you think Soul did it right or wrong, and tell me what diverse stories you want Disney to tell. If you don't want to get in on that discussion, tell me which fandoms I should pick for the rest of my fan art videos this month. Someone suggested Lord of the Rings last week, and I like that suggestion, but I didn't have time for realism this week, so that might be in the plans for an upcoming week. Check out Web Like Dreams if you haven't already, and share your fan art with us using the hashtag MarchFandomMayhem. If you're looking for more to watch, I've got some suggestions up on the left side of the screen now. Don't forget to like, comment, maybe even subscribe, and if you like living life creatively, whatever that means to you, I'd love to have you along for the ride. Bye guys!